Now loading. Okay, we're good, and we're live.
Hey everybody, welcome to I'd Rather Be Motivated. What episode is this, David? Do you recall?
Episode 19.
Episode 19. Wow, we're almost 20 years old here. This is the kind of weekly art check-in show that David and I do. We are the artists behind I'd Rather Be Drawing, and this is where we hang out and get each other updated on where we're at on our projects, as well as kind of discuss some art topic for the week. David, when you're not here on the YouTubes, where can we find you?
Hey, yeah, you can find me on Art of Mr. Fleming on Instagram and Mr. David Fleming on Facebook, Store Envy, and pretty sure that's the 2-3 places to find me.
All right, and for me, for my art, which is kind of what this is all about, go to Instagram, Mr. Green Draws. That's mr.greendraws. Same thing on Etsy without the dot. And then search I'dRatherBeDrawing.com, and there you can sign up for our email list, which we really appreciate. And we'll send you some fun, free stuff and updates on what we have going on. So, David, how you been?
Oh, man, it's been great. I have been in the zone that you want to be in when you're an artist doing this kind of thing. Like, I have not had a single any kind of day in the past probably like month where I sit down and I don't know just exactly what I'm going to work on before I even hit the table. Like it's almost like just a schedule of the activities for the week is already in my brain before I even get down to it.
That's a good feeling. Well, I suppose we ought to jump right in, right?
Yeah, let's do this thing.
So we do the art check-in. We've been doing this for a while, but something we picked up from the 48-hour art check, which you guys should search and check out. That's Corey Kerr and Joshua Kemble, is the 3 Ps, which is progress, problems, and plans. So first, what's the progress you've made since the last time we talked, David?
So I really don't remember where I left off in terms of how much I really had done. So I talked about progress last time was when I'd really broken down and we talked about our projects and plans for the future. And I was talking about analog missions, which is my current sort of passion project, personal story that I've been mulling in the brain forever. And I finally sort of actually started releasing images of pages and things like that to the public and really talking about like getting this thing into print by March, doing some kind of Kickstarter thing. I don't remember exactly what page I was on, but now I am almost complete. So I'm inking right now, page 9, I believe, if I'm doing this all right in my head. I only have one more page to ink, which has already been penciled, and then they will all go into a preview PDF, which for you literally just made the comment, which will go out to all of anyone subscribed to our mailing list is going to get like a free preview, like the first 10 pages basically of the comic before anything sort of releases, like Kickstarter and all that kind of stuff next year in March. So yeah, I don't remember exactly since the last time we talked how far I was into all that, but yeah, now I am 1 page away of inking, and I have scanned in. So this is another cool little progress. This definitely hadn't happened yet. I ordered a new scanner. So before I had a real cheap, like, I've got my cheap like print things off like a document or a Word document printer. I would never print an actual piece of art on that kind of printer, at home with the combo scanner, and it doesn't scan nice at all, though. It's like I would never scan an art in that either. So I finally picked up myself a really nice like actual LED art scanner that is just strictly for scanning my pages in.
What kind is it?
It is a Epson. It's the V37 370 or something like that. It's either the 37 or the 37 like 370. It's like I can't remember which one I ended up going with. They were both like the same model, and there was like one difference, and I honestly can't remember which one I ended up getting.
But it's where it's just a flatbed scanner. There's no printer.
Yeah, just straight flatbed scanner. And the reason I picked up that model was I went super deep into the scanner world here the past week, trying to figure out exactly what I wanted. And I found out that there's different ways that scanners scan things in basically, and you usually have to pay a pretty good chunk to get into the LED world, which is like I could hypothetically like 3D scan something in with it, because it doesn't just scan in with light, like it scans in differently in terms of the way that the light reflects off the thing,
Nice. So you have to send me the link, or I'll see if I can just find it with that, but I'm kind of in the market for one of those at this point.
Yeah. it was super affordable in that, like, in terms of like you're looking for that. Like I'm looking for a really nice quality scan where like light leaking in won't affect it very much either and stuff like that. Like so, because you get that like you're trying to scan on a white page and it gets like the corners leaked in a little bit of light, and then you're dealing with Photoshop trying to like fix that so the white actually looks nice. But it was only 120 or something, I think, altogether after paying tax and all that kind of stuff. But it came with, the reason why I went with it is it came with a program that's like built into the interface where I can scan an oversized documents and it will stitch them back together for me.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I need to get me one of those. I'm kind of over going to FedEx Kinko's.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly the other reason why I finally went into it. Like there's almost always something that they do wrong. I don't blame them. Like they're just Kinko's, it's just like random dude comes in and he doesn't realize like how picky I am about what he's about to do. And I'm like, oh, could you make sure it's a PDF or, was this really 300 DPI? And they're like, yeah, sure. And you're like, can you scan it in color? I know it's black and white, but when you scan it in color, you'll get more tone. And then it's always still grayscale, even though you told them not to.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. But, so it's like, I was just getting sick of that. And I was like, it's finally time. Like this is going to become a part of my daily thing. And I need to keep my flow. That's a big thing for me too. When I go to do things digitally and I go from like doing it by hand to jumping in and going digital, I always like lose a little bit of my artistic sort of process and flow. I always get a little tripped up, like, okay, now I got to go to Kinko's with my stack and I'll scan them all in. And then when I get home, then I'll get back on my computer and I'll start doing my digital work.
Yeah, the timing of that has definitely tripped me up on the finishing of my Mr. Green's Monster Zine Inktober print. I have it all ready to go. I just need to print it at Kinko's so I can do like the watercolor, the blue tones or whatnot, just the kind of finishing touches. And just with my schedule and their schedule and the holiday week, it's something where I've had time to work on it, but I haven't had time to go in and have them print it off. Oy.
Yeah. So I was sick of that too, because it's so annoying to be like, well, guys, I would have this really cool thing, but instead I'm waiting to make sure that I don't have to go straight home from work and do this and that thing. And so I finally buckled down and got myself my own scanner, and I'm like, yeah, I'm killing it now. Like scanned in, spent like it was a couple days ago. I spent the whole night basically scanning in the first 8 pages, and then the book is going to be in gray tone. So it's going to be, I'm going to keep everything with them, since I'm doing like the screen tone work, I'm keeping everything black and white, but I'm going back into it after I scan it in and I'm adding like an extra layer of gray tone that I'm also like adding a texture to, kind of thing. And I finally added that last night too to my first 6 pages. They're all completely gray toned and textured. So I'm like,
you're really trucking along with this.
Yeah. So I mean, in terms, like I have pages, like I have 2 pages even lettered, where like, I mean, I'm a quarter of the way, probably even more, of just like having the first quarter of the book just completely like through the entire process done.
Have you done the thing yet where once you kind of see your pages start to accumulate, you lay them out on the floor and arrange them and really kind of start to see the square footage of the art that you're making?
I haven't done it like that, but I have it literally in my book, like in order of the pages, and just generally flipping through it feels really good.
Yeah, there was something where I need to lay them out to kind of look at something, and I just wanted to look at the sequence, and I was like, oh my God, this is a lot of artwork. This takes up a lot of space. It's cool to see that stack grow quick like that.
I have not done that yet, but I will definitely be doing that now that you just mentioned that, because yeah, that sounds like something I need for myself.
Well, and it is kind of interesting when you lay them all out, like to just really kind of look at them all and you see how it all flows together, and and it's vain and fun.
I was gonna say, yeah, for just for the seeing the scope of all the work that I've done so far, that'd be really nice. Tell myself like I really
it helps the self-confidence to really. I have a weird thing personally where I feel like I'm only as good as the last drawing I did, which isn't always a terrible thing, but I tend to forget all of the work I put in and all the stuff I have to show for it. It's like, oh, it's almost time for a con. And I'm like, oh, I don't have anything. And it's like, oh no, I've been making a lot of stuff for a while now. So that's a way where you kind of quickly really see growth.
Yeah, I get that feeling actually almost at every convention because I lay out half of what I've been working on in my book of my originals out on the table.
Hmm.
And then I get to this point where I'm like picking and choosing what should go on the table and what shouldn't. I'm like, man, I didn't realize I had like this much to play with here. And that always feels really good to like be like, I have to say no to some things when that I'm laying out on the table. But yeah, so that's let's see.
Is that your progress?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much where I'm at. I finished inking and screen toning another drawing that I'm going to post later next week of another print that I've been working on. I'm trying to. We made this comment last time in the conversation that like there's always the really hard sort of balance between um,
The passion making and the money making.
yeah, like I still need to be making illustrations
And you still enjoy it. I know it's not like,
yeah.
oh, gotta make another print, but
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's it's actually a part of my passion is like it's why I draw my pages the way I draw my pages too, is I think much more of like in stills like illustrations and compositions like that than I do just like it's like even when I make a new character, like I've actually had to, this is really hard for me, but like here I'll pull up some stuff. I don't do this kind of stuff very often, but for the sake of this comic, I've been doing it. Like here's like a 4 characters that are showing up next in the book, and I had to actually kind of just like sit back and like make sure I had like really figured out their silhouettes and like what I wanted them to look like, you know.
mm-hmm.
So I did this. I never do that, and I did this a little bit ago when I first started doing all this stuff. But like I actually did like a head turn character thing. We might mess with like Apollo, and even this I'm going to change up probably the next time I do it because I've messed with some of the stuff since here. But it's like actually sitting down and doing all these little things is like weird for me. But you know, like here are my really sketchy, super quick thumbnails of like where I'm at so far in terms of my ideas all the way in the book. Like I have cleaner thumbnails sitting somewhere else in the thing, but really what I use the most is I look at these sketchy ones because I let the page change too all the way up until I'm actually inking it. Like I'm never like super hard fast like, okay, well, first time I said I was going to draw this, I said it was going to be from this angle, like so I'm always playing around with that and changing it and letting it kind of become something new when I get a different idea and stuff like that. So but yeah, now I am done hogging up all the time, and that's it. That's the progress that I've made. So how about you?
Yeah, I've been making stuff. Like I said, I've been waiting to get that printed off, that print that I did from Inktober with all the monsters. And the books are on their way finally, everything ready to go for that, the zine itself. So that'll be here shortly and for sale. And then I made the emblem. I kind of talked a little bit before about drawing inspiration, this sort of travel art show, filling your creative bank account while I sort of show you around the new place that I live. Title sequence, which I have. We kind of tested out before me doing a screen share and showing it, but I don't know how totally worth it is. So I'll just say, if you look over at my Instagram on the stories, I kind of gave a little bit of a preview of how the stop motion on that worked out, which it was a lot of fun to make. It was kind of interesting on how it all worked out. And it was kind of my garage punk rock version of stop motion for a title sequence, I suppose. But I enjoy it. You know, it's kind of rough around the edges like my stuff, but if you do that and see it through to completion, it makes for cool stuff. So over the weekend, I'm going to be working on, oh, that's plans. Not supposed to talk about plans. So I got that inked and ready to go. I like how that turned out. I know that there's been other stuff, just been like doodling in sketchbook, like I was talking about, trying to get like just work on like human proportion stuff here and there. I think that's about it for this week with the holiday and everything. Just working in my sketchbook, like I said. But yeah, that's been my progress since the last time we talked.
How about I just let you jump right to plans then, since you almost had to like unnaturally interrupt yourself?
Yeah, no worries. So problems?
Wait, is it
Yeah, it's you know, I don't think I really have a lot of in the way of problems right now. I already kind of talked about just not having a scanner presents problems
right.
Because I have to rely on schedule of going other places once it's done and all of that. So I think that's sort of the biggest problem thing I have as far as plans. Over the weekend, I have some time tomorrow, and I took a bunch of footage last weekend for my drawing inspiration show here on our channel on YouTube. So I got a bunch of cool footage last weekend going up into Vancouver and in the woods and in the city, and got the title sequence done and ready to go. So now I just kind of need to like edit together the video and also make the drawing, which is probably more than I realize it's going to be. So I want to get it. It's kind of a finished, not perfect thing.
Yeah.
So, and it's like first episode, so we'll iron out the kinks, but I think it'll be fun. Cause like I said, I got some interesting footage, you know, just, fun stuff to look at. It's the stuff that catches my eye as I go out and explore, you know, and it was basically anything that I thought was noteworthy enough to stop and look at for a little bit. I tried to kind of capture on film. So any of those moments, you as artists who listen to different shows and everything could kind of pause on that and have something to draw if you're ever kind of hard up for, you know, I just don't know what to draw today. Pepper, I see you in the chat. You are never at a loss for something to draw. It's Pepper DeLuca. If you guys don't know, always creating, always churning out some really cool illustrations and comic stuff. So, and Red, Ronnie Gunter is also in the chat. Want to give a shout out. Red just finished his book. I don't know if you saw that, David, but it came out, I think, a little bit ahead of schedule. So I'm going to get with David here after the show on a time to try to get Red on our show so we can help promote that. It's not just a book, it's a whole download animation thing. He, you know, got the music taken care of. He hired voice actors for it. This whole experience thing that he created that's really unique. So you all should check that out. But just want to say, hey, everybody, and thanks for joining the chat. If you have any questions or jokes about my face or David's hands, just let us know.
Oh yes, definitely. Jokes about my hands are welcome. Wait, the hand I'm drawing or like my hands themselves? Because I'm really self-conscious about drawing hands.
No, just your goofy knobby hands.
Oh, right. Those, which is why the hands I always draw, I feel like, are always so goofy and knobby. It's because I have this to look at as my reference.
There you go. It's like a catcher's mitt with hot dogs or something that got left out. It's weird.
I mean, and the big fat weird knuckles where, like, literally, I always tell people like my ring is an 8 because my knuckle is an 8.5. But like, if I had it any smaller, it'd fly right off my finger. It's the most frustrating thing.
Nice. So yeah, last time when we got together, we hadn't been together for a couple weeks. So like our progress that we had shared and our plans for the future were kind of big in scope. So yeah, my immediate plans by the next time we talk is that I'll have episode 1 of that out with a drawing from it on my end, and hope trying to figure out the best way to kind of get the community in on that if they want to do a drawing and share it. I don't know if I want to really create a whole nother like Facebook group just for that, or just say, you know, post, you know, a link to your drawings in the comments so we can all sort of check out what we're all doing as far as that goes. So that hopefully I'll have my books by the next time we talk, and have a promotion going for selling that combo pack, which for those who don't know, it'll be my Mr. Green's Monster Zine, which was kind of a themed sketchbook of drawings and stories featuring like 22 different monster creature alien beings of different kinds. And it'll come with a small print that will, about the size of a comic book, that features everything. I put all of them into one print for my Inktober project this year. So you kind of get the combo of the zine, which has a lot of reading and artwork to check out, and then the small print that features all of them on the front together. So hopefully have that ready to say, hey, for sale, buy it. Would have been cool to have by Black Friday and everything, but as this all dies down, I'll maybe kind of be the next wave to say, hey, look at this thing. So that's my plans. What's been your problems into plans?
I would say problems are my usual problems. I haven't run into anything necessarily extra problematic, more than just like I'm full blast. I've set a date. Like March will be my Kickstarter. So I know I can jump in and do that with like more work to be done, but of all the guys I've kickstarted and of just guys I know who have done ones, like the more you have done, like I want to have all of it done. The only thing I want to be worrying about is marketing and shipping it as soon as the printer's done. You know what I mean? Like I'm not looking to do like hey, I got 3 more pages to do, but let's promote this book, that kind of thing. Like I want to be done. I want this book to be in a PDF ready to be sent to a printer, and that's the only thing that I've got to deal with during March is just getting it out in front of as many people as possible, and then just sending it off to a printer kind of thing. So I guess I wouldn't call this a problem. I guess this would kind of just go back into plans. I've started to contact printers, and I've got 3 that are plausible, I guess is a good word for it, that have given me prices that seem like extremely doable, and have actually made me happy because they are way less than I thought originally coming into this. So it's really nice for me in terms of like where to set my goal at. I feel like it's also a doable goal for the level of sort of fans and friends and people that I know will support the book kind of thing, if that makes any sense. But one of the places that I'm contacting right now is been just super extremely helpful. Like it just feels like one of the places I literally just get like what feels like almost like an automated message back every time. It's just like yes, this is the answer, and no, you cannot, or please click on this link on our website for that answer, like that kind of thing,
Yeah.
And their prices are pretty decent, but they've been turning me off because like I don't know, I kind of like to feel like I'm getting a human on the other side that I can be like, but specifically like my project looks like this, and that's a little bit different from what your website's listing. So I'm just curious if it's still, like that kind of stuff.
So have you looked into Comics Wellspring? Comics with an X?
Yes.
Okay. I have had good luck with human interaction there. Especially I have had a few like issues here and there.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm an idiot too. So but I do deal with humans there a lot and easily via email and phone. I think they offer that, but it's just really easy via email. So throwing that into for those guys.
I don't even know why I'm not listing or saying. I feel like I'm being secretive, but I looked at a lot of different places, and so Kablam is one of them, which I know is like the kind of generic, like they just do the comic printing, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting the vibe from them though that the quality isn't going to be incredibly awesome. And then Comics Wellspring, and then Kraken Print, and so far Kraken Print is ahead in my game of like I've got a few more questions that I've asked all the different ones, and I'm waiting for answers on, and depending on like at what all this next stuff comes in. Oh, I've started requesting samples. That's another thing. So I don't know. Did you get sample packets from your printers when you first did all your printing?
No, I didn't do anything all that thorough. So I've done a few like smaller projects, and no, I haven't done that.
So it's going to be a big decision for me because I've got all my prices and my shipping and like exactly what it's going to cost for the amount of books I want to print and all that kind of stuff. But then I really want to feel the papers, and I want to feel the stock, and I want to be like, okay, well, this is what that feels like to print on. And I found that Kablam will send me like basically like a printed comic book where like each different page of the book is going to be a different like stock that you could print it on, so you can actually see what it looks like. And one will be like with it just inked, with it colored, and all that kind of stuff, so you can kind of see how it affects the pages.
Cool.
And I was like, that's awesome. And then I couldn't find it on their website for Kraken, but I found them through a podcast where the guy was on there talking about their services, and he said that they do provide that like for free as well. Comics Wellspring, I couldn't find anywhere on any of the parts of the website for that, so I just contacted them today to be like, hey, like, what's your deal with this? Like, do you offer this? Or because some places like that I've contacted that I've kind of stopped contacting were like, oh yes, we offer that, but you have to pay the price of shipping, or yeah, we offer that, but it's like $50 or something. And I'm like, geez, man, I'm just like, just want to feel your papers. Like,
yeah. What was the name of that podcast that talked about Kraken Print? Because I think it's the same one my buddy at work was telling me about.
Comics Launch.
Comics Launch, yeah.
I heard that's it's like a Kickstarter and crowdfunding and like sort of Patreon, doing it yourself kind of like it's like it revolves around all that.
Very cool. Like I said before, I'm hoping to have better show notes in there. I can't always do them right after since we do the show late, but I want to have some different links in there.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention that I'm going to put in there is Michael Emirates. He's in the 100s group and kind of heads up, is one of the people that heads up the Facebook chapter club union. I'm not sure. And I don't know if he finished the whole thing, but at least got 3 to 4 videos, like thorough videos done about doing what you're doing right now. And he kind of shared the whole process from how the printers, how like the websites were and how friendly they were, how easy it was to go, I see what you offer there, but could you actually do this? And to the point where like he was getting, the samples in the mail and kind of going through those with you. One of them was like Ninja Print or something like that. That was cool, but yeah, like I don't know. And he does like all the price breakdowns. So for your benefit, David, if you've seen that, which it kind of sounds like you're already doing a lot of the legwork, but might be something new that you hadn't thought of, or a different printer where he's kind of done the legwork for you. But
Nice.
he's a great artist as well. But that's a pretty cool series that he has on YouTube. I'll put a link to that down below. And by the way, Red gave you a shout out, David. I know you don't have like your screen in front of you to look at, but he said congrats, just kind of referring to where you're at with your comic and everything. So thanks, Red. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail if I did.
No, you're good. I think I was pretty much coming to an end on that. I mean, I feel like every once in a while you do need to derail me because like I could talk all night, which is why we do this, right?
I know you're
But
so pumped. I don't want to derail you though.
I know, right? Yeah, no, that's it has actually been fun though. Like I'll check that out for sure because who knows if there's one I'm missing and I could get into and be like, oh, I didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah, and then he kind of, like I said, you could watch that video and be like, okay, I just learned everything I need to know about that one. Sweet.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Does that kind of do that portion? You want to jump into? We had a little bit of a fun topic show and tell aspect today. What do you think, David? Are we ready?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, I was just babbling about this and about that. So yeah, let's do it.
All right. What do you say we go back like one for one, kind of?
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, since I'm going first, I'm going to steal this one because I know that you have it too. First one up. Oh, it's like Reading Rainbow. Oh, we need to do a total Reading Rainbow. Anyway, sorry, got a little idea there. Talk to you later about that one, David. But anyway, I Had a Nightmare by Chris Rao and Paul Donovan. Just got this in the mail. It is a Kickstarted book through Rao Publishing there. And I've shown you guys another one he did called Magnus, which was an awesome sort of adult, gory, like violent kids book thing. But this one's pretty rad, where it's based off true accounts of Paul Donovan's dreams, and he has a lot of sleep terrors and sleep paralysis and different things that he deals with, and he journals those things and writes them down. And he teamed up with Chris Rao, who has a beautiful touch for the creepy and scary as hell. And in his pencils, which it kind of shows in here in features, it's just some really beautiful artwork and really intense storytelling. And when you know that they're true accounts, it's a little spine tingling. And some of the things I can relate to, I don't have like the total monster stuff, but the sleep paralysis that we've kind of talked about on this when Rao was on. But it's a beautiful book. Buy it from him. It feels great in your hands. It's a second one from Rao Publishing. So you guys should really check that one out. I recommend it.
Yeah, so I was gonna literally just throw them both up and be like, "Yay, look at that!"
Awesome.
Yeah, Magnus.
I like how it's a different size. It's a little bit of a different size on this one.
Is it?
Isn't it?
No, I think it's just. I mean, it's that eighth of an inch that a printer will just always trim something a little bit different. I think.
Oh, I don't know why. I haven't put them up next to each other. It felt like it was like bigger for some reason. I don't know why.
Also, my thing is turned like this, so perspective-wise, it's probably making this book look smaller because it's just literally like sending it to a point, basically.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I was gonna throw a shout out for Rao as well because he's one of my really close friends and duders. And he's doing a whole like actual comic right now on, if you check out his Instagram at Mr. Rao Art, he's doing an actual, like, this is like a fun illustrated version of his story where it's kind of like picture and that kind of thing. But he's doing like full on panel comic book of it next, and he's been pretty stoked about that. So I'm gonna share this one as my first one. This one is a dude who I am in like a little bit of like a share what you've got each day on Instagram, and we all kind of like give each other props and stuff like that. Is how I met him. But his thing, here's Instagram, is John Killink, which I don't know if it's like exactly what his name is. He is actually from Chile, and so this was like he finally had someone translate his first book into English, and then I was like, send me a copy, I'm in. And it's really cool, it's beautiful, his inking is really awesome, he's very hatchy and stuff, which is the thing that I really enjoy, is that kind of ink work. But I don't do it myself, and I think it's kind
That's
of
a
why
beautiful
I like
book.
it a lot. Yeah, it's a really nice book, and I like the shape of it, or the size of it. It's kind of close to the size that I'll probably be printing my book at too, so I really appreciated it. But it looks really nice. He does I really like his color work too. Like this cover is really nice. So that's my first share on that one there. Go to give him a follow. The dude does, I mean, dude makes so much content. He is posting like every day. And when he makes a post, he posts like the image, he posts like process, he posts like all of it from pencil to ink. Like there's a video to watch every day of him doing his thing. He's a really cool dude.
What's the Instagram again?
John Kill Ink.
John.
Yeah.
Last name Killink.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it's like Kalink. It's probably like his last name, but like I always remember it by saying John Kill Ink.
Well, because his inks are killing it.
Exactly. That's literally how I remember it.
All right, so for my number 2, The Berserkernaut by Jeff Lafferty. A member of the 100s, and he completed this book in under 100 days. And I'll show you in a second why that's amazing. But he also he has the Artcast on YouTube. It's a great show, and he's also one of the founding member of the Artcasters. He's not on it currently, but he was on like damn near 100 episodes, if not 100, I think. And he's just a really interesting guy to listen to. Kind of no nonsense. He's not like mean or ruthless, but he doesn't like BS about certain stuff. But he's a real cool guy, real nice guy as well. But anyway, this is his book, and he does these airbrushing, like beautiful portraits, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, like realism, but beautiful imagery and everything. And this, he just kind of went with his own style, but still using that airbrush and hand painting technique. And he uses like Sharpies, airbrushing, actual brushes and everything. But like I said, this whole book is panel by panel hand painted. Let me try to find you a good one that shows up on here real well, because this is all his original character and everything. I don't know if these colors and everything really show through, but it's something super original, but reminds me of like some of like the really cooler parts of underground things that were going on in like the 80s, 90s type thing.
It reminds me of like a really cool Saturday morning cartoon that like you had to wake up really early to see, and it was like cool in all the mainstream ones, but for some reason you could never like that kind of like, I don't know if you watched Mighty Max when you were a kid or anything like that. It just reminds me of one of those ones that like fell underneath the radar, even though it was way worth being in front of everybody.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It has like a certain sort of nostalgia to it, but it's something I've never seen as well. And that's a hard thing to achieve. And like I said, he's got tons of videos. Like if you watch his 100 days, he's working on this stuff all the time, and it's awesome to see. And he has all like he did all the panels like individually and then scans them in and then would paste them together. And it's that hard work of like fine art, but just a totally fun story. And it flows well, and it leaves with a cliffhanger. And he's already like, so this was another Kickstarter from an independent comic creator. And like I said, in under 100 days, he like put this book together, and he's already working on issue 2. And the first one funded huge. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep saying that. It wasn't Kickstarter. It was Indiegogo on this one. I apologize. I use that as like a generic term. Sorry, Mr. Lafferty. But no, Indiegogo. But anyway, just search Jeff Lafferty, Berserkernaut. You'll find his stuff, and I think you can still buy the book, and issue 2 will be coming soon. And it definitely left me wanting more in the best way ever. And I know it's not going to be a creator that maybe takes, a year or 2 years to get out issue 2, which is totally something that happens when you're doing this in your own time. But this guy is making it happen so that people don't have to wait that long. and it's a bit of his passion project. It's kind of like I think he was kind of like, it's time to crap or get off the pot, sort of a thing, and has had this idea a while and was just like, I'm doing it, balls to the wall. So I recommend that one. Check it out. Jeff Lafferty, Lafferty. And like I said, I'm going to have a link to all this stuff below. So should hopefully be a du jour of links of awesome books as you look below. But go ahead. What's your
it's
next
funny
one?
that you used, like you said, Indiegogo or Kickstarter as like a blanket term, even though it's on Indiegogo. It's like that's kind of like a real thing. Like you just, when any kind of crowdfunding anything, like you just kind of say Kickstarter, you know, and
Yeah, it's the Kleenex Xerox of crowdfunding.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got like Patreon on or whatever, you say that and all this other stuff too, but you could easily just say like, I'm trying to Kickstarter kind of thing, and everyone would be like, oh yeah, cool, yeah. But all right, what should I do next? Let's go local. I'm gonna share a buddy of mine. So this is actually done. Like I bought this actually a long time ago, but this is like what I have from him. So I wanted to kind of throw that out there. But it's called the Birdlander. So this is a buddy of mine. His name's Ed Bickford. He's an artist friend that I met like when I first started doing all of this like convention circuit stuff. And I actually at the last convention I finally met his writer. His name's Aaron Walder, and he does some really cool stuff too. But I really like his stuff is real washy, and like this is like as a gray tone book, it's like this is beautiful. I'm noticing a theme from all these things that I'm sharing, that they're all very like ink heavy and that kind of stuff, but that is totally my thing. But it's a cool story. I'm pretty sure you can read it as a webcomic if you look it up. He did, because that's how he started doing it before he printed it. But I mean, he does the thing that I love. Like his pages aren't shiny; they're like nice and newsprinty, but they're like thick. Like the way this was printed, it feels good, and I like that about an indie book, like it being printed on a good, nice paper. And then that's kind of why I was talking about that. Like a big thing about what I decide to print on and stuff like that. It's going to depend on the samples that I get back. But it looks like he used Comics Wellspring actually, so there you go.
Well, so especially some of those last pages, I've not seen any of Ed's comics, but I follow him on Instagram as well, and I recommend everybody do that as well, because he's another person who is churning out artwork all the time. Like he makes cool illustrations, like while he's just sitting at lunch, like no big deal. Like I have to sit down to really like put something together. He just is great. But I've never seen his like comic stuff, and it was giving me a definite like Matt Kint vibe. Yeah, from like Trillium.
Oh yeah,
like that sort of a thing. Like playful but really intelligent. I don't know. I love that guy's stuff. I'll have to find Birdlander, because like I said, I haven't read any of his comics, so I'd like to check that out.
Get in that.
All right, my next one is not just promoting the comic, but promoting the publisher. Have you heard much about Alterna Comics, David?
No, I have not.
I've had trouble finding them at my local distributor. I need to just find a title and ask them to start carrying it, because they're getting out there. More and more places are carrying at least some of their stuff, but they're awesome. They're a total throwback to old comics. This comic sells for $1.50. It's marked right there. It's not just like a retro cool thing, and down here it says $4.99. No, it's actually $1.50. And it feels like the comics from when we were kids. When you open it up, it's not just like a matte finish. It's the newsprint from like when we were kids, to the point where they kind of urge as part of their marketing getting silly putty and like doing the thing where you smash it on the newsprint and then be able to like see the image or whatever, because it's like that feel. But it's cool because it is updated technology and art, but on newsprint. And like that panel right there, I think is beautiful. They do have I don't know if all their stuff is all ages. I don't think it necessarily is, but I think a lot of it is. And this one is called Adam Wreck, as in like shipwreck. And he's a kid who gets stranded by himself out in space. He went on like a 2-year mission out in space with his like parents who are explorers, and kind of getting bummed about everything. And it kind of is a mystery on where he's at and why he's there and everything. But it was a real fun comic. And like I said, I want to check out more from Alterna Comics, because they're really cool. They're a little guy, but they're trying to do really cool stuff. And they're able to get, that price down, like, because they're trying to make it not $4 or $5 comics. So like when you go to the store, you buy one comic or two comics. They want to make it available for kids and get like a new generation really excited about comics. So I really like a lot of the stuff that they're doing. So check Alterna Comics out, and this one is Adam Rec. And I got this through it was Alternaween. So it was a Kickstarter that happened just before Halloween where you could order just like a trick-or-treat bag that came with like one comic, a trick-or-treat bag, like a pencil and a thing of silly putty. And that's what I got to just kind of support them. I didn't have a whole lot of money at the time. And this is what I got or you could do it to where you like donated like $50 or something like that. And you actually like for different donations would get stacks of comics that you could hand out at Halloween and everything to kind of help get stuff out there. And
that's a cool idea. I get it now. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just they're cool people behind it. They're putting a lot of love into it, and I think they're going to be important coming up here. So go look for Alternaween in your comic shop, or I'm sorry, Alterna Comics in your comic shop, and maybe find one to order. Stephanie from Bebop North suggested it came on a Wednesday. I heard that's a pretty cool book through them, so check that out. All right, David, you're up.
All right, hold on. I'm a lip sync. Hold on. All right.
You're a lip sync. Uh-oh, he's losing it. He's a lip sync.
All right, so another local guy who I love getting all of his stuff. I actually think a number 4 is out, and I haven't picked it up yet, so I'm looking forward to bumping into him at the next convention and grabbing one from him. But his name is Levi Hofmeier. And I like always, I butcher last names, but it's Hofmeier. But he does this thing Mayflower. It's kind of like what you were just talking about the other guy. It's like this beautiful like hand painted digital style that you would not normally see in a comic. But it's like the interiors of this are like a full on like epic like illustrated book. Like every panel is just so like intricate and stuff. And this is just like issue 1. Like his stuff has gotten. Like he did this a long time ago, and like I've been grabbing them from him. It's kind of like you said though, about one a year comes out because of the like just like the scope of how much he puts into everything, you know. But I love this thing about indie comics too, about just like an entire black page, right, with like one little word on it, and like stuff like that you would never get away with when you're like the economy of page really matters, you know. So I don't know, like I love this. I go back to this a lot for like really dark, cool, like dim lidded panel stuff. Like it's probably even like, I don't even know if you can see it super well on my camera or anything like that. But yeah, this is called Mayflower. And I'm pretty sure if you follow him on Instagram, and I'm pretty sure it's just his name. And then I know he has like a shop that you can like pick him up digitally and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm the kind of guy who, like I got to put it in my hands. I'm not collecting the thing if I didn't buy the hard copy of the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and last time I was in KC, like his latest issues were out at Bebop. And he's starting out from beautiful books like on issue 1, and his art is progressing as it goes through, and it's just getting better. It's not like doing that weird thing like where it's like changing a whole bunch. It's getting better. Yeah.
And I'm like sitting here on camera struggling to shove this thing back in because he does these thick floppy issues that barely fit in the bag and board. All right, over to you. Do you have more to share?
I have a last one, and it's a little bit more mainstream, but to call image books mainstream, I think is pretty awesome. Right. So it's an image book, but it's not like a big fish. So I'm still supporting it and sharing it with you guys. And it's a beautiful book, and you can pick it up at any of your local shops. It's called Juke Joint by T. Franklin. She's really the powerhouse behind it, the writer and artist, I believe. Let me make sure. I saw her talk at Emerald City Comic-Con last year. I apologize. She's the writer, and Alitha E. Martinez is the art. So I'm sorry I got that wrong. But T. Franklin is the writer. And I got like a little short promotion of what this was. And it's just right up my alley. It's Juke Joint. It's, early 1900s. I can't really, I'm trying to find a page here. It's a very adult book. It's graphic. It's a really cool story. It is beautiful art and time period. But involves New Orleans and voodoo from way back then, and just kind of the story that happens when maybe men are treating women in not a good way, and the women are not helpless people to be dealing with that sort of crap. So it's a really cool comeuppance book of what people get what they deserve. And I just read issue 1, and there's issue 2 out for sure right now in stores. It's beautiful stuff. It's a weird, warped, cool, fun story. Bit of a horror thriller, but set in a like I said, a blues juke joint, South turn of the century thing that I love, which is a story I have in my head, which is one of the reasons I got into wanting to make comics, is for that sort of grand masterpiece. So when I saw this is hitting, Image, mainstream, juke joint, I was all over that, and I think you guys should check it out. So that's my last one for the evening.
Awesome. Well, I've got 2 more, so I'll take this over and
take the floor.
All right. So this is one that is like literally like my favorite book right now. I guess I just got it last month, maybe 2 months ago on the Kickstarter. But so here's the beautiful like book, which is another reason why I love it. Like this thing is an artifact for me. There's actually 2 volumes, but I've let my brother borrow and he loves it. And he has volume 2 right now. So hardback, which is my dream eventually to have this beautiful, like this thing is just like, look at this like side binding too. So it's called Steve Lichman. So the point of the book is that it's kind of like cheesy Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing, but it's from the viewpoint of the monsters. So the monsters themselves are the heroes, not like the knights and all that kind of stuff. And so Steve Lichman is like just an average skeleton lich lord, right? Which is like a funny sort of thing if you know anything about like that kind of like real nerdy kind of Dungeons and Dragons stuff. But so it's like he's the Lich King of the dungeon, and all the heroes keep coming into the dungeon to like kill him and his friends and stuff like that. It ends up turning into like a really funny, like the first few of them started as like a funny webcomic that he started. So the first few read as just like one shot, like funny, makes you laugh by like the 3rd page kind of thing. But then it ends up turning into this hilarious thing that, and it's like, you can even tell too, it's one of those books that really cleans itself up by the end and stuff like that. Like this one right here is the Minotaur and the Cyclops are like the bullies, and they're like pushing them over and like making fun of them and stuff for being like stupid skeletons and stuff like that.
That is a beautiful book.
Yeah, and it's like hilarious. Like I am like never laughed more out loud. Oh yeah, and the cop of the dungeon is like a ghost cop, like who's stuck in the dungeon because he went down there and got killed by one of the monsters. And
so like, from this vantage point, the artwork reminds me a little bit of Fiona Staples from Saga, where it's kind of actually somewhat light on the inking and line work, and you get a lot of your shape and dimension from almost flat looking colors, but it doesn't come across as flats. It's really dimensional, but I don't know, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, Dave Raposa is the guy's name. If you look him up on Instagram or anything, you'll see that the dude is extremely talented. I think you have to have a insane talent to be able to do it looks super simple, but still has way more form than half the things I draw kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. What's the name of the book again? I'm sorry.
Steve Lichman, and that's the name of like the skeleton is the main character. His name is Steve Lichman.
Okay.
This scene right here is hilarious. This is his like werewolf friend telling him that he was engaged, and then he gets shot through the heart by raiders of the dungeon, and they're like, "Aha! I have completed the achievement finally!" And then he like starts crying over his friend who's dead. He's like, "Can't you give me a minute to cry here?" And they're like, "Take his pelts, quick!" It gets real funny. And things like there's he gets like creepy sometimes. Like there's this one scene where they like kill this turtle guy, and they're like scavenging all the parts for him and stuff, and talking about how they're gonna wear him and stuff like that. It gets kind of creepy on purpose. It's hilarious. All right, final one, and this since you ended it this way, I'll end mine this way too. This one is an Image comic now, but I've been following this dude and supporting this dude since Space Mullet was his first one. So Daniel Warren Johnson, this guy right here, he did a webcomic a long time ago called Space Mullet that kind of got him into more of the sort of mainstream and stuff like that. And this is one of his first titles, like since he started making titles, and it's called Extremity. Actually, have you read this one at all, Scott?
I have not.
So this is about literally an artist who gets her hand chopped off by like the raiders and she can't draw anymore, and so she's like taking revenge for not being able to do her passion anymore, basically, is the main premise of the story. And but I mean, his inks are freaking beautiful. I picked this up when it first came out. There's like a little ash can of it, black and white. It is in color and it's full size, but this is like a limited edition print thing that they did that I had to pick up to support them. But like, this is her at the beginning of the book, like trying to draw right-handed and getting frustrated by it. And then like there's like his action scenes are just like, yeah, let me see if I can find a really cool one here to like, he has this thing that's like this loose, messy ink thing, but like you never don't know what's going on. Here's a really cool, like, his heavy blacks and stuff are just like fantastic and beautiful. Let's see if yeah, here we go. Like he has lots of inks and pages with like this kind of feel to him.
In a way, it reminds me of Kyle Strom, his work in Spread.
Yeah.
Like somewhere between him and Buster Moody or something.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. So yeah, I if you've not don't follow or don't get into Daniel Warren Johnson stuff, Space Mullet is also awesome. It sounds like, I always say that to people and they're like, yeah, sure, I'll read something called Space Mullet, and I'm like, no, seriously, it's like an awesome, intense action, really cool thing, but it also has just a little bit of lightheartedness to it, obviously. But like, it's because like the main character is like this 80s looking space guy, and then his like partner is like a robot. But yeah, Daniel Warren Johnson, check him out if you don't, because man, and he's actually just started recently, and which, so I mean, kind of love him anymore, using screen tones, like actual physical screen tones in his work, and it fits his messy style so well. I love it.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I love it. Like I said, those are a lot of, I took a lot of notes here on the show notes, so I can have those down below. Whoops, sorry. If you're watching this in the first 12 hours, no promises. But
right.
Tomorrow morning, it's kind of probably going to be first as I get up, just kind of an easy thing to kind of copy and paste a whole bunch of those. But there will be a wealth of them down there. So if you want to search some cool books besides just ours, which I welcome you to start with, there's going to be a lot of stuff there. And some of the other people that we talked about, get a link to Red's book in there, and Pepper's Instagram page, and all these other artists that hopefully you guys are already following. And if not, go check them out. We really kind of wanted this episode to be about the little guy, the creators who aren't mainstream, quote unquote. I love the big two, but I also love independent comic books, from the ones that my buddy David here is doing to the ones that are happening through Image. So I encourage you guys to check it out. Go to your local Comic Cons to pick those up, your local comic shops. And just so you know, there is in most comic shops a small area, sometimes in the back or over to the side, where they have local comic books from local creators. And a lot of times they're not very expensive. They've been sitting there for a really long time, and you've been passing by them going, nah, throw $2 towards it. It's a huge thing when that creator comes in to get their weekly comics and sees that their books have gone from 4 on the shelf down to 3. That's a huge motivator. And yeah, anyway, that's my kind of closing statement there. You got anything, David?
Yeah, I was just gonna make that same comment. I think a lot of people nowadays get discouraged and are like comics are stupid, and like they're getting overrated, and comic book movies and all that kind of stuff. And you're like the thing that's made comics cool again is awesome, all that mainstream like attention. But then when you really come down to it, the stuff that, because even at one point these mainstream comics weren't mainstream comics, and things were way more like underneath the radar. And now this thing has been rehashed and thrown back out so many times, it's lost its originality to it and stuff like that. And I really feel like you got to find the indie stuff, and you got to find a creator when they're first starting out. You're going to get some of their best work if you really just get behind a creator and follow them and do their thing. I was just, who was it? Here's another indie creator that I will throw out, Jason Brubaker. He literally is the artist that I found when I first decided to start getting myself back into like drawing and comics and that kind of stuff, knowing that I kind of had that passion and ready to fuel it. And I was listening to one of his YouTube videos where he was doing a live thing, and someone asked him about Spawn, and he was talking about how he loved Spawn when Seth MacFarlane was involved, and like way back when like Image was like new and all that kind of stuff. because Spawn used to have this really cool thing, and I kind of remember it from reading Spawn. I don't know if you read a lot of Spawn, Scott, but he used to have this thing, and it was like a ticking clock. It was like every time he used his power, he was like using up his powers, and there was some really cool arcs at the end that were like he had to be careful about when he decided to do the Spawn thing because of that. And then apparently, when the new writers took over for the sake of making it go infinitely forever, they like just got rid of that just because, you know.
Yeah.
And they're like, really good stories should have an ending. They shouldn't be this serial thing that just keeps happening and happening and happening and happening and that kind of thing. So I feel like when you get those like these kind of creations here, you're getting a story that's like has a beginning, it has an end, and it was meant to be there, and you're always going to be so much more satisfied by it.
I love it. Support local comics. And when D-bag political comedians are telling you that comic books are everything that's wrong with America, just change the channel because they're worthless.
And put it down and read a comic.
A political comedian, which means their funny jokes were funny last week. Anyway, that's all I got. Like I said before, if you want to check out my artwork and stay up to date on things I'm working on, best thing to do is either go to I'dRatherBeDrawing.com or Mr. Green Draws on Instagram. That's mr.greendraws. David?
Yeah, I'dRatherBeDrawing.com. Like always, since we're both got our things on there. Instagram at Art of Mr. Fleming, and then Facebook at Mr. David Fleming. I have been lately also trying to I'm trying to get different audiences and then maybe starting to share different things on my different platforms. But right now, since I don't really have a lot going on, I just kind of share the same thing at both things. So whatever you like to enjoy more, go for it. But I'm gonna try a goal of next year is like to start like understanding that I have my Facebook fans and I have my Instagram fans, and maybe they want different things, and kind of playing with that idea. So follow them both and you know, follow my journey and support Analog Missions. All right, that's it. Is that a good closer?
That's a good closer. Just the last thing, not to get like last word in, but down below the links, if you're going to click on one link, click on our email list. I'll get that one up top. So we'd love for you to join that. We don't blast you all the time, but it will definitely keep you up to date on when we start and release comics and have our kind of new projects debuting. So thank you all for joining. Thanks for hanging out in the chat. As always, thank you, Red. Thank you, Pepper. We'll talk to you folks later. Please leave your comments below on what you think of these books, and if you have any suggestions on stuff that we should check out. Until next time.
Leave a comment below on a cool independent book you support. I love that. That's a good closer.
All right. Link. If you really love it, post a link so we can just go right to it and buy it. So.
Pieces.